we will think of the two-way street to understand the assumption of the speaker. We are standing right here at the present, and we will consider this two-way street as flow of time. And the fact that we consider the other possibilities can be understood. We take our memory back to a point in the past. At a certain point in the past, we were brought, or we were assigned a choice by the one who brings us to the present, the blissful present. And we eventually exist at the present, and this gap for considering the other possibilities that could be the present is revealed with the past tense of the modal verb to reveal the assumption of the speaker according to the number 5, or the fifth role of a modal verb. The tense revealed by the modal verb instead of the verb is determined differently by the search of the modal verb about whether the modal verb is applied to emphasize the definition of the verb or to assume the actualization of the experience, condition, or action indicated by the verb. In the procedure to study the fifth sort of the modal verb, we will try to understand the assumption according to the two-way street of time. And the third case, we will study about the assumption about the present. We think of the various possibility at the tip of the time that flows from past to the future only in the x-axis, in only one direction. So we can study about the modal verb can or may in the third sort of the modal verb. In the first sort of the modal verb, the assumption about the future is to think of a point in time that we have not been yet. So we will study about the modal verb will. And the second and fourth sort of the modal verb are the modal verb do or did, do, does, or does, that reveals the tense of the clause instead of the verb and the number of the information about the subject instead of the verb. The tense revealed by the modal verb to emphasize the definition of the verb signifies the gap between the present, when the conversation with the speaker actualizes, and the time when the definition of the verb actualized or actualizes, because the actualization of the experience, condition, or action is true. This can be the explanation about determining the tense of a clause. The tense of a clause is determined as a gap between the present and the point in time when the definition of the verb actualized or actualizes. The modal verb to emphasize the definition of the verb actualized in the past when the conversation with the speaker did not actualize does not reveal the information about the subject. There are two clauses. You did tell us the truth. He did tell us the truth. In the two clauses, the modal verb did reveals that this clause is stated in the past tense, and these clauses are delivered from the speaker to the listeners at the present. And the information about the subject is valid when the clause deals with the present, so that the listeners can prioritize the information delivered by each clause. So we can understand that the modal verb did to reveal that the clause is stated in the past tense is okay not to reveal the information about the subject. Because the definition of the transitive verb tell that actualized in the past is less prioritized than the present experience, condition, or action stated in the present tense. So the speaker does not need to deliver the information about the subject of the action actualized in the past. So we can understand that the form of the transitive verb tell stays in the original form because the modal verb did reveals the tense of the clause as the past tense already. And we can also understand that the form of the modal verb did is constant with every subject. The transitive verb tell to indicate the action actualized in the past does not reveal the information about the number of the subject and the role of the subject in the conversation with the speaker that actualizes at the present, because the modal verb did emphasizes the definition of the transitive verb tell. And the point in the past when the definition of the transitive verb tell was actualized may not be prioritized by the listeners in the conversation at the present. The information about the number of the subject and the role of the subject in the conversation with the speaker is provided by the speaker with the purpose for the listeners to prioritize the experience, condition, or action actualized at the present when the conversation with the speaker actualizes. The modal verb that is applied to emphasize the experience, condition, or action actualized at the present when the conversation with the speaker actualizes reveals the information about the number of the subject and the role of the subject in the conversation with the speaker, as well as the tense. The modal verb to emphasize the intent of the speaker who states the present experience, condition, or action to the listeners. Reveals the information, the tense of the clause, and the information about the subject there are two clauses. You do tell us the truth. He does tell us the truth. The modal verb do reveals that this clause is stated in the present simple tense, and the form of the modal verb do reveals that the number of the subject is plural, and the subject participate in the conversation with the speaker at the present. In the second clause, the form of the modal verb does reveals this clause is stated in the present simple tense. The form of the modal verb does reveals the information about the subject. The number of the subject is singular, and the subject does not participate in the conversation with the speaker and the listeners at the present. We can review the classification about the personal pronoun. Sorry. There are two standards to classify a subject. The first standard is to figure out whether the number of the subject is 1 or not. And the second standard is about whether the subject participates in the conversation with the speaker at the present or not. The first classification is that the number of the subject is 1 and the subject participates in the conversation. The subject is speaker and the speaker is described with the modal verb do. And the second classification is that the number of the subject is not 1 and the subject participates in the conversation with the speaker. The subject, including the speaker and the listeners, are included in this classification, and the subject, including the speaker and the listeners, is the modal verb do is applied to describe the verb that describes the subject. The third classification is that the number of the subject